Greetings, you stormers. It is the 23rd of August 2025, and it looks like Vietnam could be less than 48 hours from a typhoon strength landfall. Tropical Storm Kajiki is intensifying in the South China Sea, but its future strength, it depends on two big wildcards. First will be will the storm's core clip the rugged terrain of Hainan Island, or miss it just to the south and stay over open water? Second, once Kajiki enters the shallow Gulf of Tonkin, those waters could cool quickly from upwelling, cutting off fuel right before landfall. The balance between these two factors will determine whether Vietnam sees a weakening storm or something much stronger. As of the latest advisory, Kajiki has strengthened to 50 knots, making it a strong tropical storm. It's moving west at 28 kilometers an hour. The storm is about 735 kilometers east-northeast of Da Nang, Vietnam. The satellite imagery shows bands spiraling into the tightening circulation with deep convection firing, despite the strong shear pretty solid at 15 to 20 knots, easterly shear. Strong outflow channels are helping Kajiki intensify. But Kajiki is forecast to run west along the southern edge of the subtropical ridge, brushing the southern coast of Hainan in 24 to 30 hours. But if the storm center clips Hainan, the rugged terrain should blunt its intensity. It's going to kind of churn into those hills, and that could weaken the central circulation. However, if it stays just to the south, Kajiki could keep its core over the warm waters, setting up a stronger storm before it approaches Vietnam. The forecasts officially call for Kajiki to peak near 75 knots as a Category 1 on the Saffir-Simpson scale within the next day or so. That's a typhoon, but on the lower end of it. But the question is, the shallow Gulf of Tonkin is the second wild card. Upwelling could cool the water faster than expected, leading to weakening before landfall. So let's take a look at the hurricane wharf. In this model, it's a high-resolution storm following model, so you'll see it shifting position as the storm comes up. And the island in the top left that's Hainan Island. With these greens and oranges, that's a tropical storm with the arrows indicating 50-knot winds on those few wind barbs. That means it's a strong, pretty solid tropical storm at this stage. But in this model simulation, it tightens the circulation. That's a typhoon at that point because we see some purples in there indicating winds of more than 64 knots. The storm does edge just past the south of Hainan. We see basically it's staying at Category 1 typhoon strength. And then it clears, the circulation just scrapes by the island, and then it enters the Gulf of Tonkin, and this is where we have that second uncertainty about the upwelling of the shallow waters in this area. And the storm does, however, in this model intensify quite significantly right at coastline, making a very damaging landfall at what looks like Category 2 intensity with winds of, in the final frame, looks like 90 or 95 knots sustained. Here are the SSTs, sea surface temperatures. If you look at the graph on the left side, you'll see that along the track it's mostly 30 degrees Celsius. Then as you come into the Gulf of the Tonkin, it goes down to about 29, but it's still pretty warm. So the whole area is 29 to 30 Celsius. We can actually see how shallow the Gulf of Tonkin, which is this area up here with the storm coming through, is just using Google Earth, because it gives us the elevation in the bottom right. Down here, you'll see the elevation of the topography, but then also as you go over the water, it shows you the depth of the base of the sea. So the Gulf of Tonkin is really pretty damn shallow. It doesn't even get down below 100 meters. It's more like 60, 50, 40, 35 meters, particularly near the coast. So very shallow, and that means that there's less of a reservoir of that heat, even though the waters are very warm. That could mix up and cool quite quickly. So the bottom line, folks, is that Kajiki is strengthening now, but the final balance between Hainan's terrain and that shallow Gulf of Tonkin warm waters will decide, I guess, whether Vietnam faces a storm that's kind of a weak typhoon or tropical storm, or whether it looks like that Hurricane Wharf case where we see it almost rapidly intensifying as it makes landfall. So yeah, it looks quite uncertain, and we'll just have to wait and see. See you in the next one.